More than 75,000 healthcare workers could walk off the job in what would be the largest healthcare strike in U.S. history. Unionized healthcare workers, including nurses and EMTs, are negotiating new contracts with Kaiser Permanente. Their original contract ended last night. If a deal is not reached, the bargaining phase would continue. The earliest a strike could begin would be Wednesday. Affected facilities are here in Oregon and Washington, as well as in California, Colorado, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. Unionized staff are asking for increased pay, job protections, and solutions to fix labor shortages. Kaiser Permanente representatives say talks are showing progress, but a plan is in place if a strike does happen.